It's Friday night, and you know what that means. This week it's a 2-hour special inside Arthur Ashe Stadium. Let's talk about it, shall we? I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Rampage Grand Slam, JR, Shivani, Excalibur, and unfortunately the Grand Wizard himself, Jericho Anderson, on commentary. Take off Jericho Anderson. We don't fucking need him on commentary every single show, or any show. We don't need Jericho anymore. He doesn't add anything to this product anymore. He doesn't add anything to professional wrestling. Honestly, the guy's a fucking albatross. Anyway, there were some good moments on this show, but it did prove when it comes to Rampage, less is more, even though the hour-long edition sometimes can feel simultaneously rushed and also have a little bit too much filler because it's just, a taped show. This had a few matches where I'm like, wow, this really could have ended sooner. They had one match that ended really goddamn soon, but that may have been because one participant got injured, maybe just temporarily. Anyway, so we have the House of Black entrance with Julia Hart leading Brody King and Buddy. And then we get Sting and Darby. And then Julia Hart jumps all over Sting's back, which was hilarious. We get Darby and Buddy. We get Darby and Brody. And then we get people all over the goddamn place. This wasn't the only match where people were on the stage and all over the goddamn place. It was frenetic. It was a no DQ match between the remaining House of Black members, Darby and Sting. It was a mess. Sting had to no-sell a lot of stuff because he's old. He has spinal stenosis, and he can't really sell much. Honestly, this feud hasn't really done much for me. I know that Brody and Darby, go way back as far as stuff they've done on the indies. I, met them at Defy wrestling shows in Seattle, support your local independent wrestling, but honestly, it's a no DQ match, and Rick Knox is there, so why do you even make it a no DQ match? He never fucking enforces any goddamn rules because Rick Knox is a really bad referee. That being said, positives. Well, the crowd was up for it. Avalanche Code Red by Darby, and then Buddy seemingly stops a dive by Darby by either hitting him with a knee or using his ribs. Like, I'll block him with my ribs. Ow! That hurt. And then Sting gets sent through a table by Brody and hits his head on another table that I think he was supposed to go through, so he gets busted open right here. And then Julia has cuffs. She breaks out the cuffs and cuffs Sting. Whatever. I mean, there's a joke there, but let's just move on from it. We go to the stage. We get a coffin drop by Darby onto Buddy. And then him and Brody fight, and then they fall off the stage through a bunch more tables. Because let's just break more shit at this point. That's good wrestling. But it is a no DQ match, so let's just break everything. And then we'll leave nothing for the rest of the show, where they break more shit. It's main evented by a lights out match, by the way. Because Khan still can't fucking control himself. So, Sting's on a chair, handcuffed, laughing at Buddy. And suddenly, he has the bat, and then lights out. What the fuck? There's music. There's Japanese imagery on there. It's the Great Muta. The Great Muta. We're going back to Great American Bash 1989 and the rest of 1989 over the TV Championship or the WCW New Japan Super Show in 1991. Look, I love the Great Muta. I love Muta, but it was a big pop. It was a cool nostalgia pop, but nostalgia only works when, I guess it makes sense. It was cool. Muta's on his last legs, literally. I don't know when exactly he's retiring. It's either later this year or early next year. It was cool that he got there, and he ended up blowing mist in Buddy's face after teasing he was going to attack Sting. And then that sends Buddy into Julia, who falls through a table, and they didn't coordinate the distance properly. Julia hits about that much of the table and hits her head on the barricade in the concrete. I hope she's okay. I really do, because that looked fucking brutal. That really looked brutal. But then Sting gets victory on Buddy. There you go. That was pretty cool. It was cool to see Muta, but it was nice when he showed up at G1 Supercard. That was about 3.5 years ago. And he could barely move then. The man is one of the pillars of modern Japanese wrestling. I even saw him, when he was on, I saw him in, on old videos, Battle of the Belts, the original Battle of the Belts from Championship Wrestling from Florida, where he was, I think, the White Ninja. And he was on excursions before he got the Great Muta gimmick. But time hasn't been kind to the guy, even though he has varied up his style, he has at least one replaced knee, if not both. He hasn't done the moonsault since before the pandemic, because he doesn't fucking need to, and it probably destroys him every time he does it. Well, at least it was cool for staying in great mood to, have a reuniting moment. By the way, we get more lightning effects because it's Hawk and Action Bronson. Or Action Bigelow. Bigelow, Bronson. Action, Big, Johnson, Bigelow. That didn't work at all. It was Hook and Action Bronson against Max Maynard and Angelo Parker. The former 2.0. Remember when they had names that weren't a mouthful and actually weren't shit? But then again, the Jericho Appreciation Society is entirely shit despite the few talents that are involved. Okay, Daniel Garcia and Anna Jay, if they get Anna Jay to stop cutting stagey promos, and she can choke people out all she wants. She could choke numerous people out, and they would like it. But they need to get her away from the Jericho Appreciation Society. They need to end that. Jericho just needs to go away. Action Bronson got in some shots, and then we got a double red rum. There we go. It wasn't bad. I mean, Bronson at least took it seriously. You could tell he was very amped up to be in front of his hometown crowd. So there you go. Or at least he's near the area. So, Wardlow gets a big pop. So does Joe. Wardlow ends up tweaking his knee, though, early. Either his knee or his ankle. I'm not entirely certain. I hope he's all right. Somebody suggested he may have rolled his ankle. But it was Wardlow and Joe against Woods, Josh Woods, and Tony Nese. Josh Woods has something. I hope they utilize him. He's got a great look. Joe walking away from Tony Nese attempting a high fly maneuver. That was just hilarious because Joe's like, no, Joe, Samoa, that doesn't work for me, brother, Joe. So they had to call an audible and Muscle Buster on Tony Nese 1, 2, 3. Hopefully Wardlow's all right. He did hit a Powerbomb Symphony on Mark Sterling and seemed all right. And Sterling went up for him. I hope it's just, if he needs a little time off, he tweaks him, give him a little time off, let him rehab. He'll be all right. I hope. Because they need Wardlow and they need people that, they've been helping build up. They really, really need people. And Wardlow's one of the few people that is really, really super fucking over. So, Tarzan Boy gets a big pop, and then we have Jungle Boy Jack Perry. They need to just have him be Jack Perry soon. Jungle Jack Perry, as it were, against Phoenix with Alex Abrahantes. Okay, I know some people like this match. Do not misunderstand me. This had moments. It was well worked. It also went way too long. Now, that could have been because the previous tag match had to be called short, or cut short. This went through 2 ad breaks, and they did everything. They did literally everything. And yes, it was cool to see. The finish puzzled me. Here's why the finish puzzled me. Because Jungle Boy, OEO, gets the victory after a roll-up, because, of course, a fucking roll-up, and a show of respect. Now, I don't mind the fact that happened, except Jungle Boy doesn't have friends to go after the Trios Championships, and logic dictates if you pin a champion, they do this in New Japan, if you pin him in a random tag match or a random singles match that's non-title or whatever it is, you get a shot at the title. And that's fine. You don't have to make it a contenders match, like these AEW Eliminator title matches, but just do something like this, but who's going to team with Jungle Boy? What are they going to have him team with? I mean, it'd be cool to see. They can't be Luchasaurus. Can't be Christian Cage, because Christian Cage comes out, and by the way, he's injured. Had some kind of bicep tear or something. I hope he's going to be all right. He's in a sling. He then proceeds to basically, distract Jungle Boy Jack Perry long enough where the 65 million year old dinosaur Luchasaurus shows up, and somehow he wasn't aware, Jungle Boy Jack Perry that is, that the big dinosaur guy that he was partners with for 3 years was behind him, 10 feet. Just 10 feet behind. Seriously, how could you not notice? So, he lays him out. Christian knocks his family, says, don't come back next week or we'll destroy you, in a choke slam to Jungle Boy Jack Perry. I understand they're trying to keep this going. Maybe Christian can come back soon. This feud is, granted, had Christian not gotten injured, this probably would have been blown up by Full Gear. He's not going to be back in time. I don't think Luchasaurus, this feud doesn't have legs. I thought this might work, and I don't really think it's going to work anymore. Maybe Jungle Boy's injured. They're going to take time off for a little bit. I hope not. And then the Jericho Appreciation Society are going to celebrate next week. Oh boy, great. Jericho's getting more mic time. Daniel Garcia wanted to talk to him about something. I imagine that he's going to tell Jericho off because he cheated to win the Ring of Honor Championship. At least that's what I'm guessing. Maybe they do a winner-take-all match, and it's Jericho versus Daniel Garcia for the Ring of Honor and Ring of Honor Pure Championship, and Daniel Garcia beats him at Full Gear. I don't know. At this point, I just want Jericho off TV. As I said before, Eddie gets a big pop. Sammy, less so. He does call him a fat piece of shit. They had to edit it. Kingston then beats the shit out of Guevara. And Ty Conte misses a goddamn foot trip because Ty is not any good any goddamn more. We get a cutter for 2, chops in the corner, and Sammy's looking up at the spotlight, and then we get the stretch plum after 3 back fists, and Eddie gets the victory, and then holds on to it, and referee decides to reverse the decision because the referees have to enforce the rules more. Tell Rick Knox that. Tell the other referees that. Referee Aubrey is really good at enforcing the rules when they don't make her look like an idiot. There are intelligent people on this referee staff and Rick Knox, but you can do better than this. But yeah, they did it for a storyline. Sammy wins by referee reversal, so they build it to Full Gear. Honestly, though, at this point, I'm over Sammy and I'm over Ty. And it's not like, oh, I want to see him get beat up. Like, nah, I just don't want to see these motherfuckers on my TV. Eddie, though, big pop. And he was super over. I thought he was going to spinning back fist Jerry Lynn, so that was kind of cool. So, the crowd does chant bullshit. So, Diamante comes out with Trina. Genuine question, who is Trina? I don't know who she is. I'm not knocking. I don't know who she is. And Diamante took on Jade with Layla Gray, who I'm so happy she got signed by AEW, and Kara Hogan. TBS TV Championship match. Jesus Christ. Goldberg's streak better than Jade's streak. Jade won. Moving on. Then Trina attacked Diamante. Andrade, Olio, his group attacked Paige, and then Paul White joins commentary. Has Paul White been doing commentary on either Dark show for the past few months? I haven't watched full episode of Dark since mid-February. Even though I checked out some matches, I just don't remember. There's too much shit to keep track of. For all companies. But they get everybody, literally everybody in here. They call everybody out. It's Ring of Honor people. I swear to God, they had some people that used to wrestle in Impact in 2002 out there. I think they got a couple popcorn vendors out there. Everybody, it was like 50,000 people. Okay, maybe it was like 50, but nevertheless, it was a lot of fucking people. I thought it was just going to be a battle royal of like 10 fucking people. No, it's a battle royal of about 40 fucking people. Which, I need to write down all the goddamn group. Andrade, Olio, his group with, Private Parties in that, Butcher and Blade are in that. And the main people, Penta, 10, Hangman, Lethal, Evil Uno, Archer, Silver, Reynolds, and Roosh. And they also had Danhausen in there. They had Matt Hardy out there. Brian Cage, they dug up Brian Cage out of the Ring of Honor scrap pile and put him out there. Christ knows why, but maybe to justify the fact that they gave him an extension for whatever reason. Jake Hager was also there. Another person they gave an extension to for no fucking reason. And Dalton Castle was there, and I don't mind Dalton Castle, but him and his Tiki Torch boys or whatever the hell that was, and all these other people, and the firm, and nobody cares about half these goddamn people except the diehards. And I consider myself a wrestling fan. I like to see people get opportunities, but this was a fucking mess. A goddamn mess. Yeah, Matt Hardy's still wrestling for whatever reason. And it was down to Hangman and Roosh. Deadeye on the apron, and Hangman wins. And apparently, according to people that were there in attendance, people that were there live as opposed to in attendance at home, didn't like it. Did not like it at all. They were not happy. I imagine that Hangman might have gotten a few chances, but whatever. So he gets a shot on October 18th. That is a Tuesday Night Dynamite. So we get Dynamite versus NXT, white and gold, head-to-head, one more time. We're going to celebrate all day, all night. Don't stop the dancing. One more time. I mentioned it has something to do with the NHL or NBA NHL or NBA season. Probably the NHL playoffs. Honestly, at this point, I don't care. Starks and Hobbs had a lights-out match. Hobbs got an entrance. Starks got a pretty cool entrance with a good video package. And Starks is a star. And Hobbs has a great look and is a star as well. This seems a bit rushed, considering that they're probably going to have a blow-off at some point, and they didn't have the lights-out match be the blow-off. Hobbs won in 4.5 minutes at All Out, because the time was cut short there and it played into the story. And then 2 weeks later we do this, barely 3 weeks later. I don't mind the fact that they did this, except had they made this more personal and built up to the weapon spots, it would have been fine, but they just threw all the weapons out. We had the tables out. At first they were brawling and doing some good stuff. During the break, they brought tables out, chairs out. At one point, Starks was lashing Hobbs, so of course the New York crowd was cheering for that. And slam onto a chair, onto a pile of chairs, and Ricky took the frickin' Adam Cole bump that, the former Malachi Black, Aleister Black gave him that. Boom, right there on the goddamn thing. That looked really fucking brutal. I hope that Ricky was okay. Hit his goddamn ass right there. And they just did everything to each other. They went to the stage. They bowed back. Eventually, we got a spear through the table. And Hobbs, right before that, had taken one of the light extension deals. They even had the cord plugged in from one of the tunnels and got hit in the head with that. And then Rochambeau 1, 2, 3. And that's it. That was it for a 2-hour Rampage. And look, it has moments, but this is extended to justify the rent that they paid to get Arthur Ashe Stadium. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.